of a deal to make the purpose of the evening. Okay, so I hope you're all happy with that. If you're not, there's the door. Okay, so if we start with our candidates. Stephen, help.
Thank you so much.
Okay. These people are really brave. I liken it to being a football referee. If you do a good job, you're hated by one side and loved by the other side. If you do a bad job, you're hated by everybody. And after the show, everyone's the expert. So that's how I liken being a county councillor and a town councillor. Everyone thinks they can do the job better than you, and it's ever so easy to sit there and do whatever. It's a lot harder to do the job, and these guys, whoever gets elected, are going to find that out. They're going to find that it's not just a case of turning up at the meetings, it's going down the toilets at 10 o'clock at night to sort out a problem that no one ever knows about. Okay, so I know they've had a lot of disrespect, and I know they've made mistakes, but at the end of the day, they're volunteers. So, Jeff, the floor is yours. 3 minutes, then we have 3 minutes for questions, then we'll do the other guys. So if you can use that mic there, Jeff.
Bless you all. They say in the Eurovision Song Contest, the first act never wins. Unfortunately, I'm the first one tonight, so here we go. I've only been into this job for 3 weeks. And in those 3 weeks, I've attended 2 council meetings. I've spoken to the town clerk twice, and I've been given some information that is either incorrect or downright lies, I have no idea. And so I want to give you my impression of what I've accomplished over 3 weeks. I don't think any one of us who are standing today can save Sandown alone. Taking over Eric's role, or Eric's place, is not going to give us too much leeway. He left because he couldn't do it. He couldn't do what he wanted. And this is why we're in this situation now, looking for a new person to take over. Eric was a he still is, a very accomplished town councillor, but he couldn't stand what was going on. But I've noticed that in Sandown South, there's a lot of resignation, shall we say, over a certain length of time. That doesn't seem to apply in the north part. Now, I don't know what that is, but I think it's because the north is blue, and we in the south, we are more independent. I had a phone call yesterday from a young lady who said to me, she got the phone number off the brochure. She said, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. We didn't get further than one, because we were talking for about half an hour about the situation in the High Street.
Minute left, Joe.
Sorry?
Minute left.
Minute left?
Yeah.
My God.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. What about when I took a breath? Anyway, this lady phoned me, and we had a long conversation about what we could do. And my answer to her is, she asked me what I could do. And I had to be honest with her. I said, I don't see that I can do anything. It's a matter of being in a team. And this place has not got a team. It hasn't got any leaders. It's just got a lot of people who are looking after themselves. And she said after this...
That's his 3 minutes, sir. You have a choice. You have a choice. Another 3 minutes and no questions.
He's got another 9 seconds.
I've got a clock going. It's my meeting. The rule was 3 minutes. They were told 3 minutes. Your choice. 3 minutes and no questions, or you just have questions? 3 minutes. Okay.
Yeah? Okay. God, you lot. Oh, I thought I'd finished then. Anyway, this lady I spoke to, she said, I like what you've been saying, so I'm going to vote for you. But this is a blue area, and you're not going to win. And I thought, well, it's nice of you to vote for me, but it really stabbed me in the back when you said I'm not going to win. But I think but if everybody says that to me, I'm going to vote for you and you're not going to win, I will win. Stands to reason. But in this area, for the last 7 years where we've lived here in Sandown, I've been a parent governor at the Bay Primary, where I think I got a lot of respect. And then after that, I went over to Sandown Bay Academy. And it was because of what I found as a governor there that AET was stealing the money from us and not taking any notice about the kids, the parents, or the staff. And I took all the information that I gathered over to our erstwhile wonderful ex-councillor, Bob Blizzard, and we got together and we started writing to various people, and then we brought in Chris Whitehouse, who did all the media work, and people were saying to me, you're never going to get rid of AET. They're at an academy, you can't do anything. Town Council, the Isle of Wight Council said, you can't do anything with them, we can't do anything. But they had never visited the school for 6 years. No one from the county council had been to the school and seen what was going on. And it took a little bit of effort to get all this information out, subterfuge and lies and whatever, but we did it, and AET had now gone. And hopefully we've got I think we've got a great executive head for the school, Duncan Mills, who was the headmaster when I was a governor at Bay Primary. So in my own, for my own respect, all I can say is that if I'm given the opportunity, I will persevere and I will do the job at best of my ability. And if anything occurs that's untoward, I will want to know about it, and that's the best you can do. And that's what I did with AET. I still say that if Paddy and me and the others, if we were all voted in together, we still wouldn't be able to do anything because it's a blue town. I don't know if Paddy's a blue, but Paddy's not a blue, and neither am I.
20 seconds, Jeff.
But it needs a teamwork, and it needs to be got rid of the actual town council and put in a new team. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jeff. We've now got Stephen to do his. Do you prefer them to run for 6 minutes and no questions? Or would you rather 3 and questions? It's your choice. Show of hands. Well, the rules were quite clear that we gave everybody 3 minutes and 3 minutes for questions. It's their job to make sure they get their message over in 3 minutes. But if you want them to talk for 6 minutes and no questions, that's fine. Please respect the chair. I set this meeting up for the good of the town. I'm not going to be harangued like you harangued the council. So please give some respect.
Excuse me, but who are you?
The meeting is to set up the association, if that's what you wish, and to let the councillors or prospective councillors give you a little introduction. So we'll give Stephen 6 minutes in fairness, and away we go. All right?
Just kindly don't start the clock yet, Alan. What I will say, I'm happy to be flexible. You might not want to hear me rabbiting on for 6 minutes. You may want to ask some interesting questions. But maybe we'll see how it goes when Alan starts the clock. Maybe I'll speak for 3.5 minutes and 2.5 minutes of questions.
Okay.
But the other point is I'll be out and about in the streets, as they say, High Street, the next 2 weeks, and you can surely ask me questions then, or Facebook. The new Facebook is coming on stream shortly.
Okay, so off you go.
So, strangely, in a word Alan just used, I'm going to come back to in just a second. I hadn't really written a strict speech. I haven't timed it or anything. I have got quite a lot of supporters in the town, locally, and friends. Just briefly, for those who may not know me, I've been around the Isle of Wight and lived here, Shanklin, Knighton, Lake, Sandown for many years. Obviously also worked on the mainland and in London as well, in a variety of occupations, the live music and entertainment business, music and recording, studios, the motor trade, the print union I was in as a print machine assistant, the NHS as a nursing assistant, sales and marketing, home improvements, sales surveying, building, development and design. I built my own and designed my own recording studio. So just a little bit of background there for you. I'm what I would call a people person. I really like to engage with the public, both businesses and local residents. Everybody is important. They all have a place in our life and society, and we must respect that. Now, Alan just used that word, and there's 3 key words that I use, which you'll see on my leaflet there, which is honesty, or which are honesty, trust, and mutual respect for each other as people. And that's whether we are councillors, town councillors, Isle of Wight councillors, even if we're politicians of Westminster, wherever it may be, or if we're residents and small businesses, large businesses and industrial people, everyone is important to me. The tourism and leisure here on the Isle of Wight is extremely important to many of us. It's our work, it's our livelihood. I remember the time many years ago when the season ran from sort of March right through to New Year's Eve. Now it's become shorter and shorter and shorter. One of the things I feel the town councillors should be doing is engaging with what is changing on the high streets for businesses locally. In Sandown, we could be a #1 seaside resort in the UK. We used to be. Perhaps that's slipped away now. So heritage and culture, we must respect and nurture our heritage. I recently went on last week these wonderful heritage tours, the Pluto, actually it was the little hut on Brown's golf course, all the history and another guided tour around the town. Now I'm not saying that every single Victorian building is necessarily worth preserving, but certainly some venues and buildings are, and they're worth putting money into, and others clearly we may say, okay, we'll allow them to be demolished. What I am saying is the town council, we feel, has allowed the building landowners and developers to not act in a timely manner, because they are part of our tourism and our heritage and our future for the town. So I feel the town council needs to be stricter and have a proper timescale with some of these landowners. They can't just leave what I call derelict buildings, bomb sites,
Got about 2 minutes.
and eyesores.
2 minutes.
2 minutes
You've
of
got
the
2
6.
minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so building development, town planning, it all has to come under a realistic, achievable and fully costed town plan. Not just this year, but the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, looking ahead, being realistic. Now, we know that central government has made many, many cuts, and that's coming back to Isle of Wight County Council, and it filters down to our town council. And indeed, probably half of this existing council, half the councillors roughly, Ian would tell me, are also Isle of Wight councillors too. So they say there's not supposed to be politics at a local base town council parish level.
But in actual fact, there must come politics into it, because where is the funding ultimately coming down from, you see? I mean, our hospital, I know, is in a real mess at the moment, because many of us, including me, are waiting for appointments and waiting. Some of them urgent, they've been told January, and that was from June or July this year. That can't be right. Town planning,
20 seconds.
budget management, accounting, help make our wonderful seaside town one of the UK's top tourist results. Honesty, trust and mutual respect for each other, and then we can all move forward as a team. And let's please finish with all this animosity and ill feeling between public businesses and councillors. We all need to work together for the
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks very much. Okay. Paddy Lightfoot, the floor is yours, my friend, for 6 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Paddy Lightfoot. I'm an engineer through and through. So the brief was 3 minutes talking, 3 minutes questions. Okay? It's good to see so many people here because it tells me that you're actually interested in what happens in this town. Okay? Too often you go to meetings, there's half a dozen people there, and people get away with all sorts of things because they think nobody's interested. I'm here for a different reason. I'm here tonight, if you like, to sell myself, to say to you, I'm here to work on your behalf if you elect me as councillor. I've got 3 words: accountable, transparent, business-like. These are words that we should be able to use about our council, and my experience, sadly, is that's not the case. In my book, accountable, it's simple. People put their trust in you, you deliver. Okay? If you make a mess, you stick your hand up and you say, sorry, I got it wrong. If you really make a mess, you say, I'm going to be honest about this and I'm putting myself up for resignation because I've really made a mess. And you can choose whether I stay or not. No one's infallible. People make mistakes. Nobody's too important to stay in a job, ever. I've been a councillor through my life, whether that's been running Cub Scout packs, being a commanding officer in the army, running my business here. And if you think running your own business means you get a free pass, the people here I know who run their own businesses, you don't. Everybody wants to have a finger in your pie. Everybody thinks you need to answer to them, okay? There's no free pass. I'm a true independent. I mean that. I'm going to have no allegiance to any party or anybody, even a group of independents. I don't believe that politics has any place in town parish councils at all. And I make you a promise. If I change that allegiance, you will have my resignation on the table within 24 hours. And then you can decide whether I'm fit to stay on if you elect me. Transparent. A council is there to serve you, not itself. It's there to serve you. There should be very few instances where the meetings, the discussions aren't open to public scrutiny. In fact, I would argue that the council should actually go out of its way to make it accessible for you to come to the meetings. Not at 11 o'clock on a Monday morning. In an evening, we all work. Some people work 2, 3 jobs. That's the reality of life today. Okay? You should be able to get there if you've got an interest. At the end of the day, the council's managing your assets. It's spending your money. Therefore, you need to be able to have a say. And sometimes the only way to do that is turn up a meeting. Business-like. Some people say that a council isn't a business. Well, hang on a minute. They get money, they spend money. They employ people. They let contracts. They've got assets which they have to look after. That sounds like a business to me. They need to be business-like in how they do it. As I said, I run my own business, okay? So I've got that skill, and lots of others. In the last decade, I think what's happened is councils have had to take on more and more and more. And some councils have just struggled to keep up with that, okay? As I said, I've got many skills. I've run multi-million-pound budgets in the army and in business. My budget now is still bigger than the council's, okay? So those are the sort of skills I can bring to you. Difference is if I get my VAT wrong at work, I can't put my hand in your pocket. Can I? So, the three words: accountable, transparent, and businesslike. That's what I'm going to leave you and say. If you want to vote for me, that's what I'm going to deliver. Like the other candidates have said, I can't do it on my own. I have to work with like-minded councillors, and there are like-minded councillors on this council. But the council has to change. It cannot continue down the path it's got now. And part of the problem is it's not engaging with us. And I say us because I'm an us at the moment. Okay? And a lot of problems actually could have been, got rid of if they actually talked to people and been honest and given answers in time. There should be no reason to hide anything. Anyway, that's me. If you want to know anything about me, what I've done, where I've come from, then now's your 3 minutes to do that.
Thank you, Paddy. Paddy's got a minute or so left, so if anyone wants to ask him a question. No? Everyone happy?
Get off work.
Oh, well.
What business are you in?
I run a high-tech engineering company, so we cut profile shapes with very, very high-pressure water. Some of our work you'll see outside Tesco's in Ryde, the silhouetted gateway sign outside Tesco's. We've got work flying in Airbuses. We've got work flying in Spitfires. We've got work sailing across the Solent on hovercraft, on Redjet. So we work in many, many, many businesses, but I say I'm an engineer through and through. 3 minutes is 3 minutes, 6 minutes is 6 minutes, whatever, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Paddy. Great. Oh, hang on, possible question.
Sorry.
How would you prioritise your vision for Sunday?
Sorry.
How would you prioritise your vision for Sunday?
I'm not going to impose my vision on what I think Sandown should be. What I would like to see, and it's been discussed about this town plan or neighbourhood plan, I see that's a very important document to catch what the community wants to see happen in Sandown. And my understanding is that with a good neighbourhood plan, it's very difficult for the Isle of Wight Council or anybody else to override that. Okay, you can't mess with what's been decided, but in terms of going forward, what we want to see developed or not developed, where we want to see green spaces kept, okay? Those are sort of things, my understanding, you can put a neighbourhood plan and almost lock it in, and it's very difficult to overturn then. Particularly if you've got good community engagement, and this is great, but you need that for developing that as well. It isn't for something for 3 or 4 people to sit in an office and work out for themselves. I would like to see the town council develop that vision, develop that plan, but with buy-in from the community. We're not going to keep everybody happy. That's just impossible. But if we can find a real consensus of what we want to see, that'd be really great.
Okay, thank you very much, Paddy. Sharon wants to ask a quick question. Go on in.
It all sounds really great, and I wish you lots of luck. But what are you going to do every time you put forward something on the council? Well, the majority in a democracy, they vote, and you're going to be outvoted time and time and time again.
You could say, I'm going to continue what Eric done. I'm going to expose everything. I'm going to put stuff online. I'm going to make sure that people know what's going on. And people need to keep turning up at council meetings.
Okay.
Council meetings need to happen because business needs to be done. So we can't have adjourned meetings and disrupted meetings, but at the same time, the council has to understand people are not happy.
Okay, thank you, Paddy. There's a fourth candidate as well, Robert May. Unfortunately, Robert is on the mainland today and he can't be with us. It was a long-standing engagement. He's texted me a little thing to just read out on his behalf for the sake of fairness, so I'll do the best I can. It is quite short. I'm pleased to introduce myself as your local candidate in October's election. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight due to a prior engagement. Many residents have told me that Sandown needs some young blood and someone with a stronger voice to hold the council to account. It is time for change in Sandown, and I am standing as independent to return powers to the people and the community. There are several councillors, in my opinion, that have not got the best interest at heart, and I personally find it frustrating. I believe the council and the residents should be working together for the benefit of Sandown. If anyone has any questions for me, please don't hesitate to contact me by email, councillorrobertmay@hotmail.com, or I do have his mobile number. So if anyone wants Robert's details at the end, please see me. You noted that he's a councillor. He is already a councillor in Shanklin. I think it's fair to say, just for the record. Okay. Thanks very much to the councillors, really, or prospective councillors rather. Really appreciate your input and thanks for coming along. So now we need to get on to the rest of the business. Most of you should have a sort of an agenda and things in sight, and it's got the proposed aims and objective of the association. Sorry, lost a train of thought there, someone waved at me. Interestingly, quite a few of the things that I've got down sort of for discussion were sort of mentioned by the prospective candidates. At the last meeting on the 9th of March, which unfortunately I couldn't attend for very, very good reasons, which I won't go into, it was requested that the council come up with a town plan. I think it's generally accepted that the council don't really have a clue what the town plan should look like. They need to get, is that buzzing? So I'll sit back a bit. They need to get feedback. The general way of getting a town plan is to pay a fortune to consultants, and you get something like that. That was produced in 2003. It's a town plan or a Bay Area plan, and nothing's been done. So you paid a fortune for experts to tell you what you need, and nothing gets done about it. If we as a group can fit stuff into the town, I come up with ideas, this is surely going to help the town council come up with some sort of 5-year plan. So what I had in mind was that maybe before we do the actual agenda and such, we can have a few inputs on the sort of things that we want to do. One of the things I want to encourage is the residents of the town to support the town businesses. We need to get our high street thriving again as part of the development of the town. The businesses need to smarten up their act as well. But if we can all try and do a bit of shopping in the town rather than rushing over to Newport, it's going to help develop our town, help it keep it in business. And I think we should all do that. We should all start to try and keep the town smart and tidy by helping. If I walk down the road in the morning and pick up 3 or 4 bits of litter. If you're out with your kids, teach your kids to pick up litter, and then maybe they'll realise that throwing litter is not a good idea because someone's got to pick it up. So that's the sort of thing I'm hoping we can do as a association. We've got a few people waving their hands with questions. Jean's got the roving mic. I think Eric was first, then we'll come to you. And as I say, it's a positive meeting on what we can achieve as the association if you want to go ahead. It's what we can do looking forward. Thank you very much. Okay, Eric.
I think it's unfortunate you loaded a town plan strategy with the 10 or so base strategies that have been documented, and one of my first council meetings I witnessed Heather Humby slam about 2 inches worth of those documents on a table and discussed that yet another one that was coming out. A town plan as a neighbourhood plan is nothing like that. You have to have 50% of your electorate, not a 50% margin or whatever. You have to have 50% of the registered voters in this town to come out and actually vote for it to be passed. So it requires community engagement on a scale that's not been done before for Sandown. So I think it's important for people to not load up what you're talking about with that sort of document that you waved around then.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we won't ever get it off the ground. I want to call out the aim that you've got as the last one. to work in partnership with the Sandown Town Council, the Isle of Wight Council and other agencies to achieve our aims. Now, I think that's the stumbling block that is thwarting everything everybody's trying at the moment, whether individually or as a group of us in the numbers of 50 or 160 when we attend town council meetings, and as demonstrated by the fact that they decided it wasn't sufficient for the agenda, which is why there's not been a meeting recently. How on earth are we going to actually do anything other than talk about it amongst ourselves without any buy-in from the council? How or what we're doing is going to change anything?
Yeah, that's a good point, Eric. Can I just point out, the aims of this association are not just for today. They are for the future. We can select over the next 2 or 3 years who we want to be on the council. I believe this association, will put forward over the next few years some really good candidates from within this room or from within our association. We can't, as a saying, you can't eat an elephant all at once, you eat it a little bit at a time. So we have to be a bit patient, as frustrating as it is. I share your frustrations, but we have to look to the future. We need to start today with an end view in mind and work our way towards that end view. If we could wave a magic wand and have it all change tomorrow, that would be brilliant. It's not working, though. It's not working.
Try now.
Hello?
Yeah.
Could get someone to start picking up dog mess. Everywhere we go now, there's dog mess everywhere. Can't we get someone to volunteer a couple of streets just to get it tidy?
Hold it up a bit, it's not picking up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get your question. It was
Dog
someone
pound,
picking up
yeah.
dog mess. I'm not sure if the council do have anyone picking up dog mess, but I agree with you entirely. Unfortunately, if it's dumped there and I've got these little plastic bag things because my daughter's got a dog, and if anything's outside our house, we sort of grab that and go and clear it up ourselves. It's not the ideal solution, I agree, but hopefully, if we've got a strong association, we maybe begin to shame some of these people into realising that dog mess on the floor, litter on the floor, costs everybody money, and it helps put your precept up, your council. Turn that one away a minute. Yeah. Anything done like that, antisocial behaviour, vandalism from the kids, that sort of stuff, costs us all money. So we've got to try and educate everybody to work for the good of the town. Yeah, sure. Jane, what are you doing? Oh, sorry, got someone up.
Can I ask, how many people are business owners here? Sandown business owners?
Yeah, good question. I was going to do that. Thanks.
Can I ask how many of you supported the Baptist Church with their Christmas tree festival? Right, thank you. This goes to show that it's not just the residents supporting the businesses, but the businesses supporting the residents group. I know the lady who organised it, she emailed everybody, and there's been such a small response. If you look at Bryston and Motterston, they bring so much trade in the winter, and these kind of things that the businesses need to help supporting with the residents.
Fair point. I mean, it's you scratch my back, I scratch your back type of situation, isn't it? We've all got to, this is the whole point. We've had the business association, and you've all heard that we've struggled. I mean, Jean and I worked on the fund day for the last 4 years, and there's some other people here, but we didn't get very much support from the other businesses, surprisingly, because they said, oh, well, we're busy in our shops taking the money that you're bringing people in to spend. So when I volunteered and said, I think we can, as residents, can do the fun day, it was to get people from the town to actually help on the day so the businesses could benefit. As it happens, as you know, or you probably know, the people that did Hullabaloo have stepped in, they're professional organisers, but we're still going to work with them and hopefully if some of you want to help, over the next week or two, you'll get the opportunity to volunteer to help on the day or beforehand.
I like a lot of the things I've heard this evening. I just wonder by whom and on whose behalf this meeting was confirmed. Look, I know, I'm a member of the Residents Association, but suddenly the Residents Association seems to be getting hijacked by the local... I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying...
Sorry, is this now or before?
Now.
Well, we haven't had a Residents Association.
Well, I thought I was a member of the Residents Association,
Well,
and suddenly the meeting of the Residents Association comes under the heading of the Local Business Association.
Well, there has not been a Residents Association as such. There's been a business association, and at the I discussed it with a few other people, decided that it was in the town's interest to try and get a working together of everybody, and so it hasn't been hijacked by the business at all. If anything, the business association could probably claim it's been hijacked by the residents, but this is a completely separate new venture, if you like, to get everyone to work together, because I agree we do need to do it. Sorry, who you got, Jim? Over there. Sorry, say again?
Suddenly it's the whole thing that when you send your poster around businesses and it says the Business Association and the residents. So, I mean...
I'm sorry, I don't follow. I'm sorry, I don't follow your argument. Does anyone else think there was a residents' association? Can I have a show of hands if anyone thinks there was? I can't. Jean, use the microphone. We can't hear.
There is a Los Altos Residents Association, which is for Perone Way and all round there.
Okay. This is okay. You may have a residents' association in Perone Way. If you do, then fair enough. The idea of this is the whole town, Sandown North and Sandown South. If there is a Perone Residents Association, that will be for your specific local area, and that will carry on exactly as is. Go on then. Jean, can't you get over with it? Oh, don't want a mic. Oh, you don't need a mic, Steph.
Getting back to Christmas Eve, I completely disagree with what was just said. The business owners of Sandown on Christmas Eve Monday, how are they supposed to leave their shops? Not one of them can. It's been said time and time again. There is a lot of support in Sandown. They all come out, they all help. Sandown is a good town. We all see it together. I've gone to Porto, like you two, in the freezing cold out. Neil, I can see him. Jeanette, I'm sorry if I can't see you all. But please don't say that all the people in Sandown need to come out of the shops. No. I thought this was about us all helping out on these things. Sandown town, they do try. If you've got one person who works in the shop, how are they supposed to leave it? Now, a few years ago, they had a meeting at the corner bank. You couldn't get in the door, but people wanted to help. So it is there. But we need meetings where we can all come to arrange for what we're going to do. Because we're here. I'm sorry.
And I'd like to add as well on that meeting. I'd like to add as well that on that meeting, loads of people put their names down to help, and none of them were asked to come and do anything.
I don't want to get drawn into the reasons why, and I've been on the committee, so I, we know the sort of difficulties. When Hullabaloo stepped in and said they were going to do it, I personally was quite glad, because it means we can organise something else. You know, if we haven't got to organise Fun Day, why can't we do something else over Los Altos or whatever? Sorry?
Why does the Business Association only actually do the Fun Day anyway?
I'm not here to defend the Business Association or whatever. When the Carnival, my understanding, I've been on the island 5 years, when the Carnival Association decided not to do Fun Day, the Business Association stepped in and said they thought Fun Day was important and they would take it over. They've run it for 3 or 4 years, I think, certainly 3, it may have been 4. And this year, there was not enough people to organise the committee, so Nikki put out the message saying that it wasn't going to happen unless people came forward. Hullabaloo people came forward, we came forward, quite a few people contacted her and said they'd help. All of a sudden people came out of the woodwork. And so Fun Day is going to take place, and had a few discussions with the Hullabaloo people, and I think it's going to be a really great day. I think it's going to be probably one of the better ones we've done, because they've got professional expertise, the costumes and all sorts of things. So I think Fun Day is going to happen. We don't really need to spend too much time on that tonight, because you'll hear about it in the next few weeks, and if you want to volunteer, please volunteer. It frees us as an association up to think about perhaps what we can organise next summer. Maybe we can have an Easter Bunny Festival or something, I don't know, so we can do more things because more people are working together, which is the whole idea.
Will the residents close off by the library for the Christmas Eve Sunday?
Now, the plan at the moment, as I understand it, and it's still in fruition, is to close the whole road like last year. The cars were popular last year, so there will be cars down there. The music stage will be pretty much where it was, but there's a lot of other things. But it's all really in the early days of planning, so I can't give you any more details on that. It's only been underway for about a week, less than a week, Stephen.
Okay, thank you.
Use that.
Can I? This is me now asking a question and making some comments as a local Sandown town resident and small business. Is that okay? So not necessarily now as a candidate, and partly in answer to Ted's, who I know Ted, question as well, and what you were saying, Alan. As a small business, I came back to Sandown over 10 years ago, technically living in Sandown North Ward, Avenue Road, and I did apply to join what was then the SBA, Sandown Business Association, via email once, twice or so. I didn't receive, as far as I remember, any formal reply or invitation. Some years later, funnily enough, this year in other words, when I thought I finally convinced myself to stand as a candidate because of the debacle at some of the town council meetings. Basically, where the councillors, it would appear, whatever, in answer to the lady, we know we had residents' meetings, we thought we were setting up a residents' association with regular meetings. We had about 160 people. I was there, I spoke, I've spoken
was that the 9th of March meeting?
Yes.
At the 9th of March meeting, the decision was not to have a residents' association. As I say, I wasn't there. I would have argued quite strongly against that had I been there. And then afterwards, when we had a chat, various people, Kevin, Sharon and whatever, we decided it was probably not a bad idea. So,
can I just say though, Alan, the people that were there, the residents, voted and they said they would like a residents' association with regular such meetings. What actually then happened, there were some contentious issues of the council funding, mismanagement of VAT, that kind of thing. Not the least, the big increase in the council tax precept, 74%.
Yeah, okay, Stephen, we all know about that.
Well, I'm just saying, so what I want to remind people is the residents were very unhappy. They put a proposal, yourselves put a proposal, the secretary and the chair, to the council.
Stephen, please, we decided not to go that route. We all know the problems with the precept. And the question was, are we going to set up a residents' association? And that's what the meeting's for tonight. Thank you for your time.
Can I just continue, because there's a few points here.
No, thank you.
About the high street shops.
Thank you.
Well,
with respect, Stephen, if you're going to be a councillor, you must have respect for the chair.
I have had
the chair has said, please sit down.
Can I just make a point that everyone else has had their say?
I'm sorry, Stephen, you're not doing your case any good.
Right, I'm sorry to interrupt all this melee that's going on at the moment, but I'm sitting here wanting to be involved in part of Sandown. I've been a resident and a business for the last 5 years. I don't want to know what's happened in the past, I want to move forward. But I'm sitting here confused. A, you say it's not political and all I've heard is politics. B, we're arguing whether there's going to be a residence or a business association. What is the point of this meeting? And I think you just said that. Are we here because we want to form a meeting that is going to help build Sandown back to how it was and I've seen in the glory day, and how I think it can be? We do get holiday makers here. We do get middle class people to this town. It's not necessarily a working person's place, which I have read other councillors have said. We do get people that come and stay with us that have got money, that are middle class, that want somewhere to spend their money, want decent places to eat. I'd like to be part of a community. But at the moment, all I can see is this meeting going into a melee arguing about politics. So from my point of view, are we here to make this meeting or not? And can I become part of a community and get involved, which is what I'd like to do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The point of what the point that we need to make is we've got to get the town viable. We've got to get everything moving forward. And you're absolutely right. The past is the past. Let's work for the future. I'm hoping that we as an association, working with the business owners, may be able to come up with something like a residence discount card. Maybe we can come up with a late night opening one night a month initially, or something like that, with musicians and stuff in the town to encourage people to come in the town when the parking is free, etc., etc. Maybe we can get. Ian was going to try and get the businesses to have hanging baskets outside to liven up the high street, and I'm hoping that that's the sort of thing. Once we've got the association formed and a small committee to get it started, we can start to work towards that. Sharon wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'd like to actually move that we actually talk about the aims and objectives that are written on the agenda, because that gives us the framework. And after the 9th of March, and I'm talking about the past, but after the 9th of March, I think we all left that meeting hopeful, because we went to the council with resolutions asking them to, we had a vote of no confidence in them, which sent a very, very clear message that we were asking them to change their attitude towards the residents. Sadly, all these months, now in September, their attitude, I think, has got worse. The majority, not all of the councils, of course. And so we haven't got any democratic means of sharing our concerns because we're not heard. I've personally been shouted down when I tried to use my democratic right to address an item on the agenda. So I'm hoping that if we look at the aims and objectives that are written in front of you, we can come, I mean, it's not going to be easy, is it? Because we're all coming with different ideas. But it'll be a start to have a group, an organisation that we can run democratically and respectfully and sort out concerns that we clearly have. And hopefully we'll come up with lots of really positive ideas that we can move forward ourselves or even take to the council. So I urge you to move to the
Okay. We've got a couple of questions. If we just deal with those and then we go into the agenda. What I wanted this initial bit was so you could get some feel for what we have got or what we hope we can achieve, okay? So if we can just have a couple of quick questions and then move on to the actual agenda that's there to set the association up, vote for a committee, etc., etc. Okay.
Can I just say, I'm chair of Sandown Retail Volunteers, and I'd like you guys who want to see the town developing in a non-political, non-adversarial way to follow our example. We're a small group of volunteers, we all have different political opinions, but what we're all agreed on is that we need to do something active to promote Sandown so that it is as beautiful as it always was and as it can be. And as a small result of that, today at White in Bloom, the community kids of the Sandown Bay scheme came first in the environmental large group section for the community. We came third. This is Sandown actively working. 2 of our gardens, the small front garden and the large front garden, won first prize. And that was our residents doing something for the community. And if you walk around the streets, a lot of people are putting up hanging baskets and really looking after their homes and our town at the same time. And to develop our town and bring some of us have got a few grey hairs, or a lot, go back a long time and remember when it was a town that we could all be proud of, that was thriving. But you don't achieve that by squabbling amongst yourselves like children. You get out and you do something positive. Can I just mention dog poo?
Shall we put it in the museum?
We do pick it up when we can, but the important thing about the disaster of dog poo is that if a child treads on it, touches their shoes with their hands and then gets it in their eyes, it can seriously affect their sight and their health. That's the sort of message we need to get out. And if you see someone picking up the dog poo, say well done. Get the message home that there are good things. We all know, sadly, about the bad things.
Thank you very much. Okay, we really need to move on now. That'll cause a laugh if I turn that. Okay. Yeah, my name's Alan Jones. Okay. We're going to have to turn the microphone. Hang on, we're going to have to turn the microphones down because this meeting is being broadcast, if you want to laugh, in the Con Club. Because it's picking up on their wavelength. So I'm going to turn the mics down. Okay? Oh, I think it might be just the radio mic then. So turn the radio mic off. Okay. If it's very quick. Yeah, finish that. No.
Hello everybody.
No.
Good evening. My name is Jean Orman. I am, for my sins, the Secretary for the Sandown Forum. A lot of you people here will say, what's that? It is a monthly meeting point for all the voluntary organisations in the town who want to come along, and together with the churches, and we also have the town and county councillors come along as well. We air our views of what's going on. We promote our own organisations within the group, and we trade difficulties, we ask for help, we publicise events round the town and elsewhere using we use the internet, but we also use proper PR procedures, which is posters in all the important places. Christine and her Sandown Green Town volunteers are members of that group. So I would ask you, the voluntary sector is very important these days. It's being passed down from the top government through local government, and the volunteers are most important. Please do not undervalue whatever you decide to do about your meeting with your meeting association tonight. Please do not ignore the voluntary sector. They are most important. They are needed to actually carry out the wishes of any such organisation such as this. It is one of my beefs with ARC Consulting, unorganised hullabaloo. Please do not do every thing of PR on Facebook or Twitter. There are hundreds, thousands of people in this town who have neither. Thank you.
Thank you, June. Okay. So now we just move on to the actual agenda for the meeting, which is point 1, to agree the aims of the objectives. It's been suggested that we put residents over the age of 18. It's been suggested that we lower that to 16. Just a view on that. Does anyone agree or disagree?
Young people interested in the town. Yeah, they want to stay.
Okay. Show of hands. Who would be happy with it to be 16? Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Any objections on that? No, we're fine. So we'll alter the thing to 16. Okay. The idea is of the aims and objections. The aims and objectives, not objections. This is a basic framework that we then appoint a small steering committee, and they may look at those aims and objectives and want to sort of change it, set the association up as such, and then have a proper initial sort of annual general meeting or whatever you like to tell everyone what the plans are. But today it's just to say, do you want to form an association? So that's the first question. Does everyone feel that it's beneficial to the town, or does anyone think it's a stupid idea? So we're all in favour? Yeah, okay. Are we all happy with the name? Hand at the back.
It's a very quick one, because Sandown Business Association exists. How they actually agreed to this?
Sorry, are they?
Sandown Business Association exists. How they agreed to this merger?
Well, we've spoken to them and they understand that it's not replacing it. On the leaflet it was quite clear that we want to work with the Business Association. The Business Association are finding it quite hard at the moment, as most people are. So to a degree it will reinforce them, but the Business Association will continue to stay as it is, certainly for the time being, and the businesses can be a member of both.
Just so that to spare the confusion, why not something like Sandown Community Association that encompasses business and residents?
Yeah, I mean, I've got an open mind on it. I just dreamt up the title and used it as a working title, you know.
Can I make a plea to include the voluntary? The Sandown Park speaks on behalf of the voluntary people in the town, when you go since 1996.
Yeah, I've been to the forum meeting. Yeah, and we and Heather will say, I went to the last meeting and I said, if this association goes ahead, will we be able to be represented and work with the forum? And the feedback I got was, yes, they'd be happy for that to happen. Okay.
And will a mere resident who has nothing to do with businesses or anything else be able to come to all of these meetings and find out what is happening in Sandown? Why is it going downhill?
Why is it going downhill?
Will we be able to come to these meetings always to hear
Well, obviously we have a committee, and then the committee will hold meetings, and for you to come, for you to come, and we or the committee, whoever the committee is, we will receive suggestions from the residents, you know, discuss it at the meetings, think if it's a good thing, present it to the thing. As I see it, I would expect them to be a Facebook page, a website, maybe a regular newsletter. All of this has got to be sorted out, but we obviously needed the go-ahead that people wanted it to be done, first of all. Okay.
Alan, can I save confusion? Can I suggest that change point 2 is to agree the name? Why not just call it Sandown Community Association?
Yeah. I'm happy. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it wasn't cast in stone. That was the whole idea of having the meeting. So, show of hands, we happy Sandown Community Association? Fine, thank you very much. So that's point 1 and point 2 agreed. We need to elect a small steering committee, I suggest of 5 people, to just get things underway, set up the next meeting, etc., etc. So any nominations for that will be welcome. Yes. This is where you have to volunteer to do stuff.
This is the problem with most of these meetings. There's lots of people, well, not many people turn up, and only a few people do the work. And that's the problem, is that everyone wants to say no to something, no one actually wants to get involved. So, why don't you get involved then? Why don't you get involved?
Okay. Is that a volunteer? Let's put it this way. Are the people here? Sharon has got quite a lot of things on and doesn't want to stand as secretary. Although she fully supports the idea, she has some quite big things in the pipeline and doesn't think she has time to devote to it in addition to what she's doing. So that's fair enough. A volunteer's worth, what's the saying, two pressmen or something. Obviously I'd like to see someone from the business side, someone from the resident side, someone as a chairman, someone as a vice chairman, someone as a secretary, and we will have to have some funding, so someone as a treasurer. Is there any people in the meeting would volunteer to do? Because it's always better to volunteer.
I'm not volunteering, but can I just ask a question? Obviously, looking at the funding that we're going down the committee, I'm the chairman of the local club, by the way. So I'll just feel like, by the way.
Yeah.
2 home games Saturday, come on down. Obviously, we're going down the lines. It sounds like we're going to have some oversight, transparency. That's going to require an AGM, positions, people being voted in, looking at accounts. So I suggest that's going to happen, maybe it's worth just picking an inaugural committee to start off, and maybe we have the first AGM where people who know what's being involved.
That was the intention, a small steering committee. The AGM then says if they're happy for those people to continue or if someone else, and they may decide they want the committee to be 10 strong, I don't know. But we obviously need to get the ball rolling, and so we need some keen people to just kickstart it. If you're a rugby player, you better come on. Okay, so...
You're obviously very keen on this. Would you be prepared to stand as chairman?
If no one better comes along, yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy to do it and help get the thing started, and then, you know, there may well be someone else comes out of the woodwork that's better, and I'm more than happy to stand down at that stage. Sorry? Thank you. Be happy to accept if there's no one else. Yeah.
I'll volunteer. Someone's got to keep you in control.
So I'd like to volunteer Kevin, get him on board as well. What would you like to do, Kevin?
Not being chairman. Not being treasurer.
Would you want to be? You're not being treasurer. Do you want to be vice chairman?
As I'm volunteering, I'll say my name's Kevin. I run the tap in Sandown. I also run the Jubilee Sandown, which I think everybody here sees. I don't really have. I've got 4 young kids at school, and I haven't got time to really run on a committee. But I'll be happy to be part of the steering committee if it's just to keep you in chair.
So can we put you down as vice chairman? Vice chairman?
Put me down as a resident representative.
So residents?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone happy for Kevin as residents representative? Yeah. Did we decide on a business representative between you two?
Jeanette, can you volunteer? Very few people in the organisational skills of Jeanette. She runs a business, got kids at school. I'll talk her into it, don't worry.
Sorry, I can't hear you too well. Say so at the moment we've got Kevin as residence rep, Myself, for my sins as chairman, we need a secretary, a treasurer, and a business representative. Business representative, thank you. John Paul, George and Ringo. For those who don't know Paul, he's the manager of the co-op. And I think that would be very good if he's prepared to do that. Thank you. So,
just a point, because people perhaps worried about the names of the positions. For a steering group, do you not just need a chair and a group of people?
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but obviously we need a secretary to sort of keep sort of records and whatever. Probably less necessary to have a treasurer at the moment because we haven't got any money. We've got to decide how we're going to fund it anyway. Sorry. What to have a treasurer? Nothing. We need a bank robber. So, is there anyone who would be? Sorry, anyone who would care to? Certainly for the interim period, act as secretary to take the notes and do things, etc. Is that an offer?
Well, it's a potential offer on the behalf of Lottie. It's just taking notes. I can do that. I can send them out.
Well, obviously contributing to the discussion, but making sure we've got minutes of the meeting. Yeah? Okay, so what's your name? Okay. If the committee people can give Sharon your contact details and everything at the end, then we can start to get things right.
I've been here for about 12, 13 years.
Okay. So we could do with one more representative, ideally with a bit of an idea on finances, but not really that essential. I think it's just a case of talking about how we're going to do it. We need a treasurer at a later stage. But if we've only got 4 volunteers, we've only got 4 volunteers, you know. Anyone else? Any offers? Okay. Well, if over the next few weeks anyone changes their mind, or you go away from the meeting and say to your next door neighbour, shame you couldn't get to the meeting, you'd be ideal for this job, then we'll be pleased to hear from them. Okay. Obviously we need to raise some funds, not huge amounts I don't think. Has anyone got any suggestions on the preferred way to raise funding? We could either have some fundraising event, or we could charge a small membership fee for people, maybe £1 or £2 or something like that. I don't think it's going to need a huge amount of money to run it, but it is going to cost some money. I mean, it's cost some money to run the meeting tonight, but, you know, I just dipped in my pocket and did it, really. Any suggestions, really, on that? Or do you just want to leave it to the committee to come up? But it would be useful if we had some feedback from the floor on what you think would be a good idea. Yeah. Sorry, Sam?
I would be happy to pay a membership fee. I think that's the way to get people to the committee.
A couple of quid or something like that. Does everyone think that would be a good way to do it? I mean, you're happy on that, on a small membership basis? Okay. Don't think she's here tonight. I have had an offer from someone who is probably capable of setting up website and stuff like that. But obviously, if anyone has got particular expertise on websites or Facebook or something like that, perhaps if they can talk to us afterwards, because we're going to need that sort of thing. Sorry.
Please remember that not everybody is technology. Some people don't have internet and computers.
No, I accept that, and an awful lot of people don't. So a printed newsletter or something would be my preference to sort of try and get out, but obviously that starts to cost money, so it's a balancing exercise. But we could always put things up on the town notice boards and things like that and gradually get the word out. But yeah, I agree, we have got to go the other route from electronics as well. we've got to agree a date for a steering committee, but I guess if we just leave the committee to get their heads together and do that. And if anyone's got any suggestions on, yeah, I'll come to you in a sec, okay. If anyone's got any suggestions for things they'd like the committee to consider, again, if you sort of do that, well, I guess the best way, we've got to work out a way where they're going to contact us, isn't there? I live on the corner of St John's Road and Leeds Street, number 33 St John's Road. If anyone's got any suggestions or things, you're more than happy to pop in or pop a note through my door or something like that. On the poster there was an email address, ecotechuk@gmail.com. You can use that as well, but obviously we'll look at setting up our own email address and we'll get it in the paper and that sort of stuff, okay?
You can use Jubilee as well.
Sorry, someone...
Any questions can come by me as well.
Oh yeah, Kevin at the tap, who's the other thing, so he'll happily serve you a pint of beer or 2 or 3 while you discuss your problems, I'm sure. Okay, and I've got a provisional date for the first meeting, or the AGM. What's we now? September, aren't we? Would you like to have one before Christmas or after Christmas? Before. So shall we aim for sort of mid-November? Okay, we put mid-November just as a ballpark figure. Sorry, there was a lady put her hand up for a question and I forgot. Can you stand up and shout because we haven't got the speaker?
For those of you who don't know me, my name's Anna. I used to be the chair of the Friends of Sandown Library, but unfortunately, through lack of interest, that expanded. We have started with a very big group.
Come and join our committee.
This is the thing, is from the 1st of October, I've been taken on as a core member pioneer. Paul, for his sins, is sort of loving me, I'm afraid. What I will be doing is liaising with the community groups, events, trying to raise funds, help people get noticed, get Sandown back on its feet. It is only a very, very, very part-time job for me, so my hours are extremely limited, but I will be around to help things, and there are funds through the court that can be raised as well, aren't there, for certain societies and groups that don't have to be registered charity. So I am here available. I do have 2 children that I have educated as well, so my time's pretty.
So maybe if you could give us your details before you go and we can sort of work together with that, okay? Okay, I think we're just about finished on the show. Yeah, okay. I would like to thank Stephen very much for providing the microphones, although we've upset the con club with the radio mic, never mind, I'm the treasurer there, so what the hell. Okay, so if everyone's happy at that.
Sorry, this is embarrassing for Alan, but he has brought money into hiring the venue and leafleting us. So if you wouldn't mind putting some money, no matter how small, in the tin, every little helps. So it's not out of pocket. And if there is any extra money, then you've got that towards our new association. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all very much for attending. Really appreciate it. Thank you.